Welcome to FPL Rivals, where every game week is a grudge match and every point can make or break a season. We follow the two fiercely competitive FPL head-to-head leagues, covering the biggest rivalries, tactical masterstrokes, captaincy disasters, and all the banter, game week 1 through to game week 38. This is FPL Rivals. Let's get into this week's episode. This week, we talk about the changes to FPL for this season. We discuss the Haaland debate, and we've got a nice clever pun thanks to someone in our WhatsApp group for that. We'll also look at the top most owned players as we go. We're less than 24 hours away until the deadline. And then Ben and I will also pick our 5 spotlights of 10 players owned less than 10%. And then finally, Siege, Ben and myself have created a team, and we're going to reveal our game week 1 team. So, Ben, it's not that long ago since we recorded. Quickly, how are you? And then we'll get into the changes.
Well, I did a bit of shopping just before I came to record this pod, and I was wearing my Newcastle top, and someone came up and fist bumped me and said, "Yeah, Newcastle." So if that's not a good omen for the season, I don't know what is. On the other hand, I do think it's highly likely that Isak bags a hat-trick in a couple days' time. So I'm shitting myself. But I'm okay. Also,
I've heard some good rumours about Newcastle, though. I know some decent transfers coming in.
Nico G. Forget about Bruno G. We've been linked with Nico G. Nico Gonzalez from Man City, who would be an excellent signing if we can get that one over the line, although I'm sure it'll be hijacked by somebody else. You didn't reveal the clever pun. It was Haaland or Narland.
I was going to do it when we got to it, but you've done it now.
I just really liked that. Well done, Troy. I might nick that for the episode title.
But
yeah, me and Alex are going to have a look at a few players in the spotlight who are under 10% owned, just because I know all of you have been through various drafts, and we want to sow some doubt in the final hours before the deadline, just to really mess with your mind. But before we do that, let's get into the changes. Can you explain some of them? Because
of course, there's been some changes to the bonus point system. So in previous fantasy seasons, players were handed a bonus point reduction of -1 every time they were tackled. However, this metric has now been removed, so that flair players who dribble a lot more, such as wingers, fullbacks, are no longer punished for taking on an opponent. So if they get tackled, those bonus points that they get in the game, that won't be deducted. So if they lose the ball, which I suppose is a nice one. And then, but then there is less rewards now in terms of DEFCON. So last year, DEFCON was huge. I think what they've realised then is they need to balance it out a bit. So there's now less reward for clearances, blocks, and interceptions. A player will now earn 1 bonus point for every 3 clearance, blocks, or interceptions instead of 1 bonus point for every 2. So this should slightly lessen the likelihood of centre-backs picking up bonus points, because there are the types of players who just make clearances, blocks, and interceptions. And we know we had some centre-backs last year who just literally would just be clearing it every 2 minutes and picking up loads of bonus points. So that's those. And then Ben, yours take.
Wait, so to summarize, then it's easy. It's a bit rebalanced towards attackers, and
I think yeah.
And then
that's what it sounds like, because it sounds like there's those more attacking players. They're not going to lose points,
potential bonus points.
Whereas defenders now have to do a bit more to get a bonus point. So I think it's trying to find that balance, because I think last year, if we think about it, there was a lot more bonus points, wasn't there, for DEFCON than there was for maybe attacking. And I think they're trying to. I think it's good. I think they've got to find the even balance, so it's fair for both sides of the game. So
yeah, And
Be
then as well,
interesting.
we've got goalkeeper saves. So goalkeepers will now earn 2 bonus points, or BPS, sorry, not bonus points, for any save. So goalkeepers will continue to collect an extra 1 BPS for saving a shot taken from inside the box, but save from outside the box metric has been removed for 2026-27. So a goalkeeper will now earn an additional 1 BPS for saving a big chance, which is a situation where the player is expected to score.
I'm
I read all
intrigued to know
that
how
and
they're
I
going to
don't
work
understand.
that out.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's going to work. So, like, what defines a big chance? An XG over a certain amount, or what?
What happens if there's an open goal but he shoots from the halfway line? Does that count as a big chance?
I don't know. Probably not, right?
And then the keeper
'Cause,
like somehow gets back and saves it. I like.
yeah, that's a
That's going to
weird
be an
one.
interesting one.
It
That sounds a bit
because
VAR-y to me.
yeah, goalkeepers were always kind of like, you know, not like they earn the least amount of points in there because they're kind of capped by a clean sheet. Very, very rarely do they get bonus points unless they have a penalty save. So that sounds like it might be trying to address that issue with the bonus points. But yeah, we'll have to see how that one goes. And then
I'm just
we've
intrigued to know
also,
how they measure it. That's all.
yeah,
How they're going to measure
exactly.
that.
Exactly. And if I bet they like recalculate it after the game and someone's going to get screwed over by a point somewhere down the line. It's going to be annoying.
Probably.
Elsewhere, we've got live update and tracking real-time standings. So this is according to the PL app, right? So mini league rankings and overall global positions now update continuously during matches. That's a massive one. That is an absolutely massive one because I always used to log in for like 2 hours, after all the games had finished and it still hadn't updated. So for it to now change in real time, that's pretty big, no? Don't you think? We'll have to get Greg's take on that because that seems like that's a big one.
Yeah, agreed. It'd be interesting to see how they do that for head to head.
Yeah,
I can see it definitely working in terms of overall points, but I suppose for us with what Greg did last year, that was really important for us, wasn't it? Because we could track real game time points. So, yeah, interesting.
And then the other thing is live bonus points. So projected bonus points begin displaying after the 20th minute of each match. So that will be interesting as well. And then a later lockdown. So scores and bonus points are finalized at 9 UK time the morning after the final game week fixture instead of 1 hour after full time.
So you're going to be waiting longer for the bonus points.
That's annoying. So say you have a Friday evening fixture and Bruno Fernandes gets 3 bonus points in that game.
You have to wait till the following morning.
But you have to wait until after the final game week fixture. So potentially you'd be waiting until after, Sunday night.
If you've got a game on Saturday, but then there's a Monday night game, well, you're going to be waiting until Tuesday.
I don't like that.
No,
because that's they could reduce the bonus points. Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
I don't really like that one. And then we've also got some new tools and interface features. Price change predictor, so an official tool that tracks daily transfer activity to signal players likely to rise or fall in value at midnight UK time. So that could be quite helpful.
Is that built in within the app, or that sounds like that might be an add-on of some kind?
I don't know.
An official tool?
Yeah. CJ's written these. It's annoying that he's not here. That he
can't give us more info.
He can't give us more info. He is our fantasy expert at the end of the day, but he's not here for our first fantasy episode. Talk about that for a letdown. We won't get into too much. And then chips. This season of FPL will have the same chips as last season with double chips. You will have a bench boost, triple captain free hit, and wildcard to use between game week 1 and 19, and then the same chips to use again in the second half of the season between game week 20 and 38. Remember, there is no AFCON this time, so we won't have all those additional transfers that we got last
good point.
year. So it makes it a bit more challenging. But yeah, I'm glad they kept the same chips. They didn't need to revamp that. I quite liked it having double up. I thought that worked quite well. So.
Agreed, and I'm glad they didn't bring the assistant manager chip in again as well, because that was a bit weird as well.
Yeah, that was weird. But right, let's get into some actual fantasy chat. As we said, we were going to talk about the Yarland versus Narland chat. I don't know if I feel like I have to do that in an accent. I don't know why. It's very like Scandinavian. Jarland versus Narland. So we're going to get into this chat because as of today is Thursday evening, there is a lot of noise starting to grow on social media about not going with Haaland. I know that a lot of those people who use the fantasy AI thing to help pick their team, which is kind of cheating in my eyes. But anyway, if those that do use that are saying that they're getting a better team percentage than without him than it would with him. So that's quite interesting that actually the real analysts are thinking maybe it's not worth to go with him. The question was posed in our WhatsApp group as well. Pete asked us the question. Trotty, it looks like, is not going with Haaland, so I hope I've got him in game week 1. Ben? Yarland or Narland?
It's going to go down to the wire, to be honest with you, because to be honest, in my latest draft, I've got both Haaland and Isak, but the midfield looks so poor because I've spent so much money on the forward line that I'm going to sacrifice one or the other, probably Isak, because hopefully Iriale's teams are slow to get going. But it's just, there's so many different thoughts and feelings around it. So first off, you've got the Community Shield, in which Man City were awful, right? And you're kind of thinking, what are they actually going to do under Maresca? Secondly, you've got the fact that Haaland hasn't had much of a preseason, and this was his first ever World Cup. Since he became a senior professional, right? It was Norway's first appearance, but like it's the first time since Man City that he's participated in a summer tournament. So you got that. And then you've got, on the other hand, his record in game week 1 since joining City, which reads as follows. 22-23, it was 13 points. That was 2 goals. 23-24, 13 points, 2 goals. 24-25, 7 points, 1 goal. 25-26, 13 points, 2 goals. So all these like eggheads and, really intelligent AI bots and all those kind of things, like predicting that you might actually make a better team without him, are kind of ignoring the fact that game week 1, he always bags. So I don't know. What do you think? Are you?
I don't. Yes, those are good stats, right? But I mean, they're completely irrelevant. I think when you get to the first game, my point on it is he's probably the best number 9 in the world alongside Harry Kane right now. Name me a better one. Whether or not City are playing well, he's going to get a chance, and he's going to score. Right? That was in the World Cup. Norway didn't get many chances, but when Haaland got a chance, he scored.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think, there's two. My other point is that is if you do take him out, yes, it frees up some cash, but are the players you're bringing in, those 2 or 3 players that you're bringing in to replace him, are they really going to combine to outscore him? Possibly, but then what's the risk, right? And I think it's what you've got. I think you've got to go on gut feel. It's the first game week 1. I think you've got to go on your gut feel game week 1. Now, my gut feel, and I'm not going to make a secret of this, is I'm not going to drop Haaland because I think the risk versus reward is too great. I don't think I could risk not having him, then him scoring 2, and then already having to play catch up to catch up. Whereas if I leave him out or if I have him in, but he doesn't do anything, and those people who didn't have him score quite well, I still think that gap would be less than if you did have him and he did score compared if you did it and you didn't. So I just think that gap between not having him and having him would be significantly different. I think if
you've got the whole thing of like where it's much easier to take him out if you've got him in from the start versus getting him in after a couple of game weeks and having to do a couple of transfers and having to afford him.
And knowing people in our league that if he blanks game week 1, there'll be minus 12 points being taken for
But that brings us nicely onto the next point, right? Which is the most owned players currently. So Haaland is currently 69.5%,
And
Alex,
that
owned.
comes back to my point is
Yeah.
nearly 70% of people own him. Are you going to
Mm,
take that? Which 30% are taking that risk of not having him? If he
hmm
scores,
mm.
those 30% already way behind
Exactly.
already.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, sorry, carry on.
Who else is the most owned? So we've just got the top, 10
Top 10.
players, the most
Yeah.
owned. Haaland is unsurprisingly at the top of that list with 69.5%, 15.5 million. Second in the list is João Pedro, 61.8% at 7.5 million. How are we feeling about João Pedro this season, Alex? Has he been in many of your drafts at all? Didn't make our
Um,
final draft, did he?
João
What's
Pedro.
our draft gone? Yeah. Because
Um,
I spent a lot of last season calling him a fraud. Because there was that run that he had, I think it was under Maresca, where he
I
didn't
think
have
you've
a shot in
yeah,
like
true,
8 games or
but
something
he's
like
had a
that.
summer off,
Mm,
right? He didn't go to the World Cup, so he's had a break. He's fit. He's fresh. For 7.5 million, I think it's a bargain. I actually
mm,
think it's a bargain. You're mad not to have him, if I'm totally
mm.
honest. If you don't have him, then I think again it comes to that Haaland thing. I think you're weighing up the fact that he's actually now earned 62.4%. That is as of right now. I've just got it up, so that's
Right.
changed already dramatically from this morning to this
Yeah.
evening. Again, he's pushing that boundary where can you really risk not having him? He's had the
Yeah.
summer off. I think you can't look past him. As I said, 7.5 mil for a striker who potentially could score 15 goals this season. I think that's a bargain.
Yeah. Yeah. Third on the list, Bruno Fernandes, 12 million this season, 49.9%. So right on the nose of 50-50 ownership there. Again, I think he's one of those where it's like you'd be daft not to have him personally. I know he's a slow starter sometimes in August, but I also spent a lot of last year calling him a fraud, and then I had him for the most latter end of the season. He's just quality,
Plus, he's
isn't
on
he? So
everything, isn't he? He'll be on
he's
pens,
on
corners,
everything.
free kicks. He'll be in the middle of the
Yeah.
park, getting the ball,
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Fourth on the list is a bit surprising to me. It's Dominic Szoboszlai from Liverpool, 7 million, 41.4% owned at the moment. That was a lot lower last season. Obviously, he had a really good season last year in quite an inconsistent Liverpool side. I don't know that he'll have the same. I suppose he's in a lot of people's drafts because he's cheaper than Verts, isn't he? And there's quite a few root points there. But yeah, not sure about him. And then after Slobside is Raya, 6 million, 35.9% owned, followed by Embuemo at 8 million, 33.6% owned. So I don't know. Have you got any of those three? Are you thinking about any of those three?
Good question. And just to call out here, these percentages are of Thursday morning. So if you're
Yeah.
looking at this on Friday morning when this comes out, those percentages could have significantly changed in those 24 hours. So, personally, I think if you don't have David Raya, what are you doing? Arsenal have got Coventry on the first night of the season. If you're not going to double up in Arsenal defence, which I think is quite a conundrum because they've obviously just signed Konza. I don't think Konza plays, but I think it would be interesting to see who Arsenal go with as a back four. So I think the safer option is, David Raya is going to start. He's a guaranteed starter. I think at this point of the season, it's not XG, it's X minutes, isn't it? It's making sure you need players in your team who are going to play pretty much 90 minutes, and he's going to play. So I think Raya and Szoboszlai will do the same. Szoboszlai will be on free kicks and corners. So again, I think it's that way up between him and Verts, who's going to probably have more of an impact. For 7 million, he's cheaper than Verts, and I think he probably has a bit more impact. So that's why I don't see that. And I suppose Embuemo is high on that list because they've got Hull and Ipswich in their opening 2 games, and he did finish the season quite well, didn't he? Playing as that number 9. So,
Yeah.
and Shesko's out injured, so you're guaranteed that he's going to start as a number 9 on Saturday. So that doesn't surprise me.
Just a point on the old ownership and how that might change between the time of recording and the time you're listening to this. The last time I saw, there were only 7 million players signed up to fantasy this year. Now, when you think about last year, we hit an all-time high of 13 million. So we're well behind that with only a day to go. So either about 50% of fantasy managers are leaving it to the last minute, or we're going to have a lower number of overall players this year. Maybe Premier League have taken some steps to remove some of the bot accounts and the duplicates and all that kind of thing. But there's still going to be millions and millions of people signing up tomorrow, I think. So that will really also affect the ownership numbers. So yeah, it might be completely different what we're saying now versus when you're listening to this tomorrow. But just to round off that list, Calafiori is currently 31.4% owned at 5.5 mil. To your point, Alex, about doubling up on Arsenal's defence. And then surprisingly, at only 29.4% after an amazing season last season, Gabriel at 8 million. I suppose his price hike has put a lot of people off.
£2 million more than he was last
year. £2 million
year.
more. Yeah. So you've seen ownership numbers dip there a little bit. And then to make up the last two, we've got Calvert-Lewin, 28.7%, and Semenyo, 26.5%. So yeah, all the usual suspects in there. Quite surprised by how low Gabriel has gone, although, like you say, he had one of the biggest price increases, so that explains that. But yeah, it's a real conundrum about Arsenal's defence. I really don't know who's nailed for 90 minutes or nailed to start this weekend against Coventry. So Raya, I think, is just too expensive for a keeper. You could go double Arsenal defence and then you save a bit of money in goal. But yeah, it's a tough one, that one. Just got so many conundrums and there's less than 24 hours to go.
That's what you don't want heading into tomorrow, is more conundrums. You kind of want to have your team done tonight. I'm done. That's me done today. I've done about 6 drafts today, and I'm like, I'm done. No more.
I'm going to be tinkering right up until the deadline, and I hope that with this next section, we're going to inspire you to keep tinkering as well.
Or we're going to throw spanners.
Yeah, let's throw some spanners. Let's look at the under 10% owned.
There's a long list, obviously.
There is a long list and some surprising names in there as well. I'll just highlight a few. Saka this year is under 10% owned, which really, really surprised me considering the past couple of seasons he's been pretty essential. And then the other one that surprised me is Odegaard with only 6.4%. I suppose that's a bit of a reflection on Arsenal's attack and how it was rotated and how it wasn't all that reliable last season. And obviously Saka's had his injuries, but yeah, who did you want to talk about here, Alex? Because there's loads of names. Philip Caicedo as well. He had a monster season as a DEFCON merchant for Chelsea. Only 3.9% owned. Does that not surprise you?
Not massively. I don't think. I think under how Xabi Alonso plays, he'll definitely play with him as like a holding midfielder. So I think it'd be less likely him getting as far forward Saka surprises me, but not really, given the fact that he's been battling an injury most of the summer. Hasn't really done much pre-season. I know Arteta did say today that he is fit for tomorrow, so that would be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if I saw Saka come in in tomorrow. Wouldn't be surprised, but then I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him left on the bench. So another one that also just caught my eye slightly was Van Heck and Senesi at Spurs. I suppose Spurs are a bit... Last year, obviously, they were Bournemouth and Brighton, and I think they would have been in a lot of people's teams, especially at the back end of the season. But now the fact that they're at Spurs, I think it just throws up that bit of a conundrum. But then there's the others in there. Igor Jesus from Notts Forest. I think he's really low on this list. It's kind of surprised me. He's had a really good pre-season. However, I did did you see that thing I sent to Siege earlier today about pre-season? Yeah. I saw someone
pre-season
post
has absolutely no impact on points.
I'll read it. The exact quote was, it said, "Ignore pre-season stats. Scoring goals in friendlies rarely amounts to anything in regular season. Have fun."
Yeah.
So if any spanners in works there, let's think about that for pre-season.
So I just want to shout out as well the highest scoring goalkeeper of last season, or at least in the top 2,
Who's that? Pickford?
Pickford is only 8.3% owned currently, which is mad because he, like I said, like if he didn't finish first, he was
But is
second
that
or
because
third in
he's
overall points.
5.5 mil though? Do you think?
Because
Quite
what was he
expensive.
last season?
5, I think.
4.5
Maybe he was
probably.
five and a
Yeah.
half. I think he was around the same.
Yeah.
But I think he wasn't in people's teams at the beginning, and then he moved into people's teams
Mm.
as the season went on. It could well happen again this season. Again, Everton, we don't know. I think they're a bit of a conundrum.
I think they'll be pretty solid and
I think so. They're under
unspectacular.
Moyes, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
But talking of Everton, I thought as well, someone who was outstanding for Everton last year and was he was a fantasy point merchant was
Mm.
Dewsbury Hall. I think he's on this list, but he's all the way down at like 3.5%,
Yeah.
6.5 mil. I think he's a bit of could be a good differential to have if you think about it in there. He could be another one. And the other one I want to just call out because with Timber being injured for Arsenal, Ben White.
Mm.
I think he
Ben
started
White.
against City, and I think he's likely to probably start at least the opening 2 or 3 games until Konza comes in. So I think Ben White, I think he's down there at 3.5%. And again, he's a good little pun for 5.5 mil.
Yeah.
If you want to have him, but I think maybe that price might just put people off. But yeah.
Also, want to shout out to CJ's boy Ismaila Sarr.
Is it CJ's boy?
Palace.
He always let him down.
I know, but he still went back to him and kept going back. It was like an abusive relationship. But supposedly, this is my Crystal Palace insight, which was AKA a quick.
I don't know who
Google
their manager
search.
is. Some French guy in it.
No, I don't know. Also, I just Googled this, but Mateta has played 0 minutes this preseason. I don't know whether that's down to injury or what's going on there.
Not played a minute.
0 minutes preseason for Mateta.
Maybe he's forcing a move.
Maybe, but that means that Sarr will definitely be on pens when Mateta isn't playing. And not that this is anything to go by, but FPL's top predicted scorers, Sarr is in them for game weeks 1 to 6. Something like an XG of 9 or 10 or something like that. So that's a potential spanner.
Let's make sure
Still
CJ
quite
listens
expensive.
to that.
6.5 mil, CJ. You should be tempted by that. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Who else can we throw in at the
Elliot
last
Anderson,
minute here?
but I suppose
Elliot Anderson.
He's different game for him now with him at City. I don't think he gets as many DEFCON as he got at Forest.
Foden, after a dreadful season last season, 4.5% owned, only 7 mil.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see him play a slightly different role under Maresca versus Pep. I wonder if it will be a bit of a renaissance for him. I know he signed a new contract recently. I do wonder if, rested, fully fit Foden under a new system might do really well. Same applies to Doku, although I think Doku's injured, isn't he? He's also one of Man City's brightest players last season, only 4.4% owned this season.
Yeah, and then also I think other players that just looking at the list is continuously long. But other players on there, I think people are just put off by the fact of what's happened at Newcastle. Lewis Hall is down when normally he'd probably be further up on that list. Dan Ballard,
Ballard.
From last year, who was solid for Sunderland. Cherky, he's down low on that list. There's this. I think that there's a lot of good players. Who
Havertz, less than 5%.
Yeah, Kirkes. I think Liverpool at some point are going to be better defensively. So under Areola. So I think there's all that conversation in there, and Harry Wilson as well, who had an outstanding season last year for Fulham. Now at Leeds.
Strange move, that, isn't it? Bit of a sideways move from Fulham to Leeds. But I suppose
he's in the back end of his 20s, isn't he? He must be 30 now, maybe. So it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, interesting list though, and I do think there'll be a lot of players in there who, over the next few weeks, will plunge up in terms of percentage-wise into the 15 to 20 percenters. But we just don't know, do we? I suppose.
Gakpo and Alisson, those both.
But Gakpo might be going to Spurs when he. I think if they're trying to get Marmoush and Savinho. I think
Marmoush, Savinho, and Gakpo for a combined
Marmoush, you're a
fee
big
of
fraud.
oh my God, Marmoush. He looks world class whenever he plays Newcastle, to be fair, but apart from that, he's not really done much.
I
Has he?
think
But
if Spurs sign Savinho and Marmoush, I think those are great signings for Spurs. I honestly
Marmoush,
think.
yes, but what's Savinho actually ever done to be touted as like a nearly £90 million player? Like, has he? I think he's got like.
I think he was
3
okay at
goals.
City. He just didn't play enough.
Yeah,
Maybe,
but like they bought him for how much, and they're selling him for how much? It's just crazy. It's crazy, potential profit on a player who just has not done anything at City. Marmoush I do rate, but that's only because he's so good against Newcastle. But yeah,
I mean, there's so much change still to happen, right? We've still got 2 weeks of the transfer window. And I think there's going to be significant, that percentage right now, I think a lot of people will have very similar teams, and that will obviously drastically change as we go on in terms of, except for in our league, I think you're going to get your proper renegaders going all sorts of randoms in their team. I saw Jennings like to post earlier about Chelsea's new left back, Palestra, and he was like, oh, yeah, he's going to be in my fantasy team. I'm like, all right, mate. Yeah.
I bet you that Charlie goes without Haaland. I think he'll try a Narland draft for sure.
No comment.
No? Okay.
I can't reveal his team. That's not fair. He showed me his team earlier.
I'm not saying he's... Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Even though you're in the same division. Interesting.
Yeah, I know. He was like, boldly shared it with me. I was like, mate, you're going for the trophy, right? And I'm going for the title. And let's just clarify that right now. And then he went on a whinge about how unlucky he was last year. I was like, yeah, but you did captain Verbruggen. So I think he just... But he was like, yeah, but if it had paid off, it would have been history. And I was like, but it didn't.
Yeah, but it didn't.
He was like, but everyone would be talking about it. I was like, they were for the wrong reasons. Oh, dear. Right. Just before we finish then.
Yeah.
Ben, CJ and I this year have created our own team. And those of you in our league, do not panic. We're not going to enter it into our league. We're not going to stir the pot. We're not going to have people whinge, it's not fair that you've won the cup with your own team. So no, don't worry. We're not going to do that. But what we are going to use it for is to help us with this fancy chat. And we have entered many, many, many FPL content creators leagues this season. And CJ is going to be managing that as our fancy expert. But we have created our own team. So what we are going to do is we're going to share our game week 1 draft and kind of talk you through it. There are some strong picks. I think what we have done, and I think it's fair to say, right, Ben, is we've gone quite risque with our game week 1.
Because it's a combined effort and nothing's at stake for us as a trio. Like, so yeah,
there's nothing to lose. So let me share my screen, and then we can I'll read out the team, and then Ben will get your thoughts on how we picked it first, and then we'll just share, shall we? So here we are. Here's our team. So we've got Kinski in goal, Luke Shaw, Calafiori and Hume as our back 3. Bruno Fernandes, Zolis and Dye and Szoboszlai in midfield. And then Isaac, Haaland and João Pedro up front. And then we are going to be bench boosting in our first week. We're going to go game week 1 bench boost, which means we will be having to look to remove Dubravka out. That's been discussed this evening with Gomez, Kadioglu and Diop on the bench. So there might be some minor changes in there because we're going to have to move Dubravka. But there we are. There's our game week 1 draft.
I have to say, it looks very good up top with Isak, Haaland and João Pedro. But I'm thinking the defence is a bit honking. Calafiori, Shaw and Hume. There's no Gabriel. There's no David Raya. There's the double Spurs goalkeeper situation, which I know we're going to change, but that does seem to be like a quite popular tactic this season. It's like both of those keepers are 4.5, I think. So you're guaranteed for one of them to play and you to get points. Yeah, I think that's a pretty strong front 3. I'm not too sure about the defence, especially Shaw. Is he going to play that much? He didn't play much last season, did he?
He did. He's going to play. Because who else have they got a left back at United?
True.
They don't have anyone else.
But Yeah, hands off. This Hume bloke as well. Is he apparently playing? He's one of those players in fantasy where he's listed as a defender, but in actuality, he'll be playing across the front three or in midfield or something.
Yeah, possibly. I think Siege told me that he's going to be playing right wing. I think CJ said so. Hume's going to be playing right wing of all places. So that's maybe
Oh.
why he's gone into our team. And I think I do. I've just got this feeling about Zolis. Lots of people have gone with Zolis, and I have a feeling he's not going to start. But we will see. We will see. I think at this point it's too risky not to have him because a lot of people are putting him. I think he's about 20% owned now, so I think it's kind of too risky not to have him in case because of given how well he's done. I mean, what do we know about preseason? But he did do well in the Community Shield last week. But I think we've gone with a lot of players who have, especially who've got high reward, but then they're also high risk if they do, like for doing nothing. I think Isak's one of those. But that was the approach we went with here. We went with a bit of a high risk policy of going, well, let's see how many points we can get on the board early doors, and then if we need to play an early wild card, then we will do so. But
we'll take a 32-point hit.
We'll take a 32-point hit, yeah, and just completely screw ourselves in every league that we're in. But yeah. But yeah, I think we've talked about a lot of those players, haven't we, on the episode tonight?
Pretty typical template, I'd say.
Pretty typical template. I don't think there's any massive surprises. I think obviously having the double Brighton up with Gomez and Kadioglu is an interesting. They drew 0-0 tonight in their Europa Conference League qualifier against some
clean sheet,
some weird team, and they did all those players. Both those players did play. So it will be interesting. And I do think Ipswich will surprise a few people this year. I really do. I think I think, I mean, I could be wrong and Hume scores a hat trick. But we will see. We will see. Now, right, just before we finish, I wanted to get your thoughts from you, Ben. I'm not asking you to share me your exact team for head-to-head because I don't want us to reveal that. But what I would like you to do, and this is a surprise, so this wasn't on the script, so I thought I'd just throw this out. You can ask me the same. You can ask me the same question. But in terms of you've picked your team, and as you said, you've probably still going to do loads of tinkering tomorrow. But as of right now, who is the player in your team that is a must-have going in to game week 1? Who's the one player that's definitely not going to be thought about of moving at all?
Do you know what? All their places at risk. No.
That's a proper Football Manager quote.
Yeah, none of you are safe. None of you are safe. I'll get rid of you all. I'll bring in the youngsters. I don't know. To be honest, I was going to say Gabriel in defence for Arsenal because they're just a clean sheet merchant, pops up with a lot of goals, a lot of DEFCON. It's just that price point. I think most likely 99.9% I'm keeping in Gabriel unless I decide to go rogue and go for a cheaper Arsenal defender, which frees me up a couple mil. But I would say that Gabriel is in.
That's an interesting you say that, just because of given how expensive he is, and I know we touched on that earlier, so I'm actually quite surprised you say that, but that's fair enough. I think you're right. I think he's going to get clean sheets, and he is such a threat from set pieces.
Yeah.
So
how about you?
I'm going to be really boring, and I'm going to say Bruno Fernandes. I just think he without him, United are nothing, and whether or not United are good or bad or ugly, Bruno Fernandes is always in the game. He's always on the ball. He's assisting everything. He's in and around the penalty box, and he's brilliant from outside the box when he's going for a finish. So I just think, I know he's 12 million, that's a lot, but in terms of what he did last season, I think he probably deserves that price tag. And I do think that he could potentially have a big field day in the first two game weeks of the season against Hull and Ipswich. But
agreed.
Great.
Gone safe. Well, we've both gone safe there.
We've both gone safe, yeah. No rogue points. We haven't got any randomers on tonight to go rogue. But thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the best of luck into game week 1. We will be back as a trio, I believe, on Tuesday, where we'll be reviewing the first weekend of our head-to-head league, and then
Whoa.
I know, big, right? I'm so excited.
I'm
Literally.
bricking it. I'm absolutely bricking it for
I'm
whatever
so
reason.
excited.
I'm very scared.
I think
for
in
this
Div 2
season.
you've got nothing to lose. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I've got nothing to lose. I'm very excited. We've got a huge amount of players that are really excited. But I'm also just, excited that the season's back. We've got football tomorrow night. Also, we're going to win like 8-0 against Coventry on the opening night, and that'll be a nice, comfortable Gabriel hat trick for you, Ben.
Nice.
But
yes, please.
so I'll round it off this week because Ben did it on Tuesday. May the fantasy gods be with you for game week 1. Cheers,
Bye bye.
Ben.